Hello and welcome to the show that is never on time. Guys, I am really trying here, but I've just been pretty busy and occupied with a bunch of other things as we start back up our school semester because I'm actually going to be getting my high school diploma in like the next 3 months. So you can imagine that as a 15-year-old, that means I'm pretty busy. But we are here at 4:33 to record the episode that's supposed to come out at 5. Guys, I won't be done recording this, much less the freaking post-credit scenes at 5. So this probably won't even premiere till like, I'm not going to say, I almost said the meme numbers, but I'll say like 6:30 or 7. So yeah, it's starting to get to a point where I'm going to say, yeah, I'm going to get it done at 5. That's the goal. But like 2 people even show up to the premiere anyway, right? Most of the views on this, which aren't a lot in general, are after the fact. So it's fine. But today we are going to be starting with Boney Island, which is something I've been consistent on, is freaking remembering to do Boney Island, because that was a problem at the beginning of the season. But we have Heather, Sin, and Daisy there. Sin has been there a lot. When it comes to who I think gets the advantage today, I don't think it's going to be anything too crazy. I think I'll give it to... I'll give it to... Ooh, I don't know. I really don't know who to give it to. Because I know, for what I'm going to do in the challenge, I don't want to give it to Vader's Vanguard, because they would already dominate. I don't want to give it to... yeah, realistically, I don't see a world where Heather gets it. But at the same time, for story purposes, I think Heather should get it, because, you know, if she loses, she's gone. So I guess we'll have Heather get it. Boney Island is starting to have less and less of a role in these as we get farther and further, because it mainly was there to affect the first few episodes. But yeah, Heather is able to win it to her team, but the team doesn't really care. They're like, cool, whatever. So I'll bring everyone down here, and we'll start our pre-challenge section. Now, in our pre-challenge section, what is there to talk about? Not much on Sloane's staff, except for the fact that Heather is incredibly worried for her game, which she expresses in confessional. Fiore's favorites is, I don't even know why I put Sin here, not here, kind of in the situation that Sloane's staff was last episode, where you have a group of 3 that's pretty much unbreakable, against a group of 2 who definitely is unbreakable, especially after they bonded a lot recently. And then for Vader's Vanguard, things are getting a little more interesting, as while Daisy and Toga have been on the bottom for a while, things are up in the air when it comes to Death and Vader now. Which, by the way, the Mimic and Magicka are starting to become a little suspicious themselves of Vader, because they were like, why the heck did you send Daisy? And Daisy didn't even get the thing. But, you know, then we'll see if that goes anywhere in our challenge section. So let's get to it. So today's challenge is actually not by Squidbot. I know, shocking. Squidbot has kind of been the twin werewolf of Season 3, where Squidbot has been just running the show when it comes to the challenges. In fact, I'm pretty sure just a few minutes ago, Squidbot actually put another suggestion in the last one, the last Multiverse episode, so that might be in one of these next few videos. But this one is by Raymond the Fire God. He suggested this a little while ago. Again, if y'all want to be featured, go ahead, comment below. A challenge, name and advantage are optional but recommended, and I will most likely do it. But I say that every time, so let's just get into it with Challenge 58. It burns, burns, burns. I imagine if this were a real show, as Lauren said that, it would just pan over to Afton, and he'd be like, what are you doing? Why are you looking at me? But it doesn't actually have to deal with normal fire. Instead, it has to deal with spicy food. We got another food challenge going. It's pretty much just an eating challenge, but every food they eat will be more spicy as the rounds progress. If anyone refuses to eat, throws up, or drinks the milk provided to them, they are out. First team to not have all their members, first team to have all their members not handle the heat loses. Now, before we get to the advantage, I think there is a very clear problem with this challenge, and that's the fact that Afton, Sin, and the Mimic cannot taste. I don't think Vader can either, now that I'm thinking about it. As far as I know, everyone else can. If they can't in canon, then they can here. So, for that actually means that we will only have Azula, Sloane, and Heather on Sloane's staff. So let me go ahead and put these guys here. Venom, which I guess can just be Eddie. Well, no, that tongue probably can taste. Biore, Sasha, and Sonar, and then Magica, Death, which, again, I mean, he was drinking stuff in the movie, so I'm sure he can taste. Toga and Daisy are competing for Vader's Vanguard, but the amount of people doesn't matter too much, especially with, like, the people who have the least amount also have a firebender, so I'm sure she doesn't mind spice. But our first thing would probably be something as simple as, like, a bag of Takis. And I think that on Sloan's staff, everyone's handling that fine. Azula probably enjoys them. Honestly, Heather definitely would be a Takis girl, and Sloan probably wouldn't care at all. So I think everyone on Sloan's staff is fine. On Fiore's favorites, actually, let's talk about Vader's Vanguard first. Here, I'm going to mix the teams up just a bit so that we can talk about them in a different order than last episode. And Vader's Vanguard, I don't think Magica would like the spice, but I think that she would still be fine. Death definitely likes the spice, and then I think Toga would like the sensation in a weird way, and Daisy, I mean, she's from the desert. She's used to heat, so I'm sure she would like the Takis. Again, with her attitude and everything, especially in season 2, I could definitely see her liking these. Which, by the way, let me make that clear. When it comes to attitude and Takis, it's kind of like the high school stereotype of the Takis girl is what I'm referring to when I'm talking about like Heather and Daisy, because everyone actually this cast has a lot of adults, but like Daisy's a minor in this timeline, and then obviously actually no, Heather's an adult too, but whatever, not important. She has the same personality from when she was a high school person. And then on Fiore's favorites, Venom is handling it. Sasha probably, actually she's definitely a Taki girl, and Sonar, I could see Sonar crapping his pants or something, but not selling anybody. And then I think the first person to drop out immediately, though, is Fiore. I don't think Fiore would be able to handle it, and I think she'd probably get laughed at by Sasha, and Sonar. So I think Fiore is dropping out pretty much immediately here. She's 10, and I don't think she has much of a spice tolerance. She's also the whitest person here, and as someone who is extremely white, we cannot handle spice at all. Although, I mean, yeah, unless you're part of that archetype that like Heather, Daisy, Sasha are. So then we come to round 2. Well, I think round 2, they would elevate it quite a bit with a jalapeno pepper, but not any jalapeno pepper, no. This is the Plants vs. Zombies jalapeno pepper, which, if y'all don't know, literally will explode into flames. Which, again, one-up mushrooms are on standby in case things get too crazy. But this will be, they were going to do the one chip challenge, but after seeing how well most of these people handled it, they were like, this is so easy. They pulled that out. Well, they being Lauren, cooked by 6. Well, I think that when it comes to Azula, she's handling it. Sloan, she's handling it. Heather, I think Heather can support it, and she'll be fine, or hold it down. Vader's Vanguard, I think Vader's Vanguard is probably fine for the most part. Magica, it'll hurt her, but she's handling it. Death probably likes it. Toga probably loves the feeling of the fire, again, in a weird way. And Daisy's probably handling it. By the way, it's not going to, literally catch their mouth on fire. It's still edible without just killing somebody. Venom's fine. Sonar's fine. Sasha's fine. I think Sonar's cooked. I don't think Sonar's making it through this round, which immediately means that they're down to just Venom and Sasha. See, numbers are not a good thing when you have people like Sonar and Fiore on your team. Not a advantage, I should say. Well, I think when it comes to round 3, what is round 3 gonna be? Ooh, bars. Round 3 should be, I'm trying to think of, okay, it's 3 1-chips, which is already to the point where I don't think normal humans could do this, because somebody died in real life eating a 1-chip before. I think that this is where Heather throws up, but she has her, she can drink her milk. Actually, I think that doesn't matter. I think she drinks her 1 glass of milk and then still throws up. Or she drank her glass of milk and that's how she held it down last round. Regardless, I think she's cooked. I don't think Heather makes it through. I think they're going to have to rely on Azula and Sloan. On Vader's Vanguard, I think Magica is really trying, since the Mimic can't compete, and she really wants them to win, because now they're a little worried about what's going to happen with Vader. But I don't think she can hold out any longer. I also think this is where you start to see effects in Daisy. By the way, Toga just loving this challenge. For Fiore's favorites, I think Sasha, would just barely be able to make it. Meanwhile, Venom's tongue, again, I think that he's probably starting to feel the effects of all that heat on the symbiote. So I think what happens, like, they touch his tongue, and then he just, like, explodes the face of the symbiote, or, like, exposes it to reveal Eddie, and then, like, the second he touches his tongue, he's like, nope, 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 you're eating it. And Eddie's like, I don't want to, though. And Venom's like, I don't care, and shoves it down Eddie's throat, and Eddie barely makes it. But he does. So I think that Venom is now going to, especially after the jalapeno round, which I could see almost killing him, to be honest, because if you'll know, the symbiote's weakness is fire, like every other creature ever. So I think he's going to try to rely on Eddie. Then I think that the next round after this will be, I'm trying to think of, like, fictional items that are insanely spicy. Maybe this time around they combined everything that they've done so far. So, because, like, there's still so many people left, so many more people than they were expecting. So they have a sandwich. It's 2 pieces of bread, but they're spicy bread, which have, like, jalapenos in them, with a PVC jalapeno, with 3 one chips, and with a bunch of Takis, like a bunch of Takis. So immediately, I think Sloane's tapping out. I don't even think she's biting it. She's biting it. I think Vader's Vanguard. I think that Daisy sees this and also taps out because she trusts that Sloane, who has a similar anatomy to her, as far as she's aware, and honestly is, she has a similar anatomy, and if Sloane, who is super smart, is dropping out, Daisy will too, because not only does Daisy not want to deal with the pain, but also it could get her sick, and most sicknesses are not curable by the one-up mushroom, as y'all saw with Lena last season. So I think that Magica also is gone here. I can't remember if I said she was gone last time or not. I think I did. Regardless, she's gone by now. But the only 2 people left are Death and Toga. And I think Toga's really starting to creep some people out. So I think actually I could see a world where Daisy's like, hey, you want this? I put some extra peppers in it. And she's like, ooh, yes, thank you. And she takes a drink of it and she's like, wait, you just gave me milk. And then she's like, oh, my bad. And then starts, like, dragging Toga out. And she's just got her arms folded because she wanted more spicy food. But, yeah, she's trying to get her friend not voted out. So now all that's left is Death. And then on Fiore's favorites, I think that the symbiote probably just straight up leaves and Eddie faints. Throws up and faints. And I don't think that they're lasting. They probably would get a one-up mushroom, but Eddie would still be sick inside of Venom, and Venom would just keep him fine until he's better. Because even if you get a sickness that won't kill you, just in case it gets contagious and then everyone's sick, you will be kicked out. And then it comes down to Sasha, and Sasha has to win it for her team. And you know what? I think she does it. I think she is not doing well after it, though. Like it is bad. Lauren even tells her, like, you know, you don't have to do this, right? Like, it's not 100%. It's not worth all this, okay? It's just a challenge win. But Sasha's like, she has to support her team because after what happened with Anne and Marcy, she has to be the one everyone can count on and everyone likes. She has to. And she does. And she barely makes it. So, I think that now things would probably shift. And I think they're still going in order, right? Sloane's staff goes, then Vader's Vanguard goes, then Fiore's favorites go. In the next round, I think they probably would go to a sudden death because there's only 3 people left anyway, and there's not many other things they can do. So 6 just keeps pumping out all of those meals at random, and Azula will eat one, then Death will eat one, then Sasha. I think Azula's only made it this far because she's a fire bender. But when it comes to the other things that aren't like the jalapeno, which has the fire in it, she probably still is feeling the effects. So she's probably not doing as well. I think Death is just perfectly fine. I don't think things are affecting him at all. And then for Sasha, I think that she's just hanging on by pure grit, almost like hanging on by like agony, like she's freaking Springtrap, who's over there. She's not doing well, but she's doing it. And I think just before she straight up passes out, Death suddenly gives up. And this really shocks Lauren, Six, Sasha, although she's not really thinking straight, Azula, everyone that's around. And Death's like, yeah, the spice was just getting too much for me. And he's still got a perfectly calm, fine face on, while Sasha is, like, dying. And everyone's like, really? Really? But no, not really. That's not actually what's happening at all. Instead, we move to our post-challenge section. We will explain what really happens after we talk about the other two teams. So Heather is very, very happy about this because she thought it was going to be Sasha, along with like everyone else except Sasha. I could even see Sonar trying to step in to get Sasha to stop, and Sasha being like, no. But she also could see a world where it would have been Azula, because it was really starting to get to Azula. I think Azula would throw up right after as well, and then Sasha would just freaking faint. But I think that she's happy. The other three are they don't really care at all. Again, they're just like, okay, whatever. You'll be gone the next time we lose, so whatever. And there's no idols left either. On Fiore's favorites, Sonar is just trying to look after Sasha while she is in the medic hospital, which is also run by Six because Six basically just does everything. But I think Sasha's just saying worth it. Like, she'd probably be like, yeah, it was totally worth it. But Zonar's like, dude, you realize that you're probably going to be in here for, like, at least the next 10 days. And that's past, like, 2 challenges. So you might get kicked out, right? And if you get kicked out, I'm cooked. And he leaves, not realizing that just made Sasha feel like shit again. Not like whole depressed like she was, but that makes her feel bad. Because she's like, of course, when I try to be the good guy, I'm still the bad guy. So that kind of pisses her off. When it comes to the others on the team, they're kind of just impressed with Sasha, like genuinely. I could especially see Fiore being impressed and being like, maybe she isn't that useless, even without Zombie Wanda controlling her. Or they probably just say Wanda, but you know. And then on Vader's Vanguard, where the real plot matters, we have, why the heck did Death just give up like that? Well, it's because Death had made his mind up. Death knew that while he was playing all sides, that he was not going to be kept around if he stuck with Mimic and Magicka and Vader. But he also thought maybe he can convince Daisy that Toga's creepy enough to get rid of. And if he does that, then maybe he can stay. But he was still worried, so he just hoped that nothing would happen until the merge. But then cracks started to form with Vader. And it turns out that him and Vader had a conversation before the challenge started, like on their way, where Vader said, hey, I will vote with you as long as you have the votes if we lose today's challenge. And Death's like, perfect, because if that happens, he can finally have a bigger role in the team, and he won't be in such a bad spot where he has to try to play middleman for two groups of people who don't really care about him nearly as much as they care about each other. So Vader, who has been getting ready to leave Mimic and Magicka's alliance already, comes up to him and is like, alright, who do you want out tonight? I will vote whoever you want, as long as you have the votes. And Death's like, yeah, I have the votes. We got Daisy and Toga, who are both desperate. And Vader's like, alright, that's perfect. So who's it gonna be? And Death looks at him and goes, well, actually, it's gonna be you. And Vader says, what are you talking about? So basically what happened is, also on the way to the challenge, Mimic and Magicka came up to Death and said, hey, we want to get out Vader if we lose, and we'll appoint you as team leader if that happens. And Death, again, wants that higher part of the team. Like, he wants to be at the top of the top in the team, because he's sick of being in such a bad position. So, what he actually did was leak it to the two, after they had already been suspicious, fully leak and confirm things that Vader was trying to work with him. So now, there's no chance of him flipping back to Vader. Then Vader, there's no chance of him going to Mimic or Magicka, because he thinks he has the numbers. Toga and Daisy were approached by Death, but Death only told him about Mimic and Magicka wanting to get out Vader, and how he's fine with that. If the other two vote Vader, then maybe they'll last longer in the game. And that is how we get to our elimination ceremony, where Vader trying to flip bites him in the ass as we get Mimic voting Vader, Magica voting Vader, Death voting Vader, Toga voting Vader, and Daisy voting Vader. So Darth Vader is eliminated until Lauren comes up to him and says, Vader, so audience ratings on you are pretty high. Did you know that? And Vader's like, no, I don't actually give a flying fuck about the show. I just want to get out of this cross necklace thing. And Lauren says that he should watch his tongue because she's going to give him a new role. And that new role will be a team leader. But it won't be for Vader's Vanguard, no. Instead, it'll be one of the new 2 teams. That's the twist of this episode, y'all. We are moving from 3 teams to 2 teams. And because of that, the person who would get voted out today would now not only become a team leader of one of those 2 teams with no vote happening, but also they would have immunity in the next time they go to elimination. Whether that not be till merged or that be in the next episode. They cannot be voted out the next time they're at the elimination area. And that they is him. So, everyone is like, what? We thought we were playing the mind games. This is bull. And Lauren just looks at him and is like, get popular. So, yeah. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to make these 2 new teams. I'm going to explain how they vote for team leader on the other team. And then we'll go ahead and do Boney Island and end the episode. And boom, we are now done with Vader's Vanguard, Sloane's staff, and Fiore's favorites. Fiore's favorites being the one to last all the way to the team swap. So congratulations to Fiore's favorites for that. That's crazy. Congratulations to Fiore for that. But as you can see, there is an uneven amount. However, I don't really care because I think this is a really good twist anyway. So let's talk about team dynamics. So first of all, we have Vader's Vengeance, which is now what it's called because he was voted out and then brought back in. Excuse me. On Vader's Vengeance, when it comes to who I decided to put there, I put Death on there so that we can explore that Vengeance plotline, as Death was the one who was going to organize this master plan. Azula is on there because I wanted to separate the trio of Afton, Sloane, and Azula, and I thought this was the best way to do so. Venom is over here, mainly because, one, this team needed more dudes, and 2, I wanted to separate him from Fiore for stuff I have planned. Sin and Sasha will be explained in the post-credits scene, and Toga is here to separate her and Daisy because of plans I have later. Now, I did just say a lot of the reasons are to separate people, right? For example, Azula. Azula, Venom, I can just say them all, Toga, freaking everyone. But I do have plans for these characters as well. Now, for the other characters, I kept Afton and Sloane together, but I also put the Mimic. Now, if y'all remember, Afton and the Mimic don't have a good history. I also put Magica and Sloane here are to support the Mimic and Afton, so that one of them just doesn't get immediately voted out. Daisy is here to throw a wrench into things, as now that she's not as calmed down and distracted trying to deal with Toga, she can focus more on this huge problem because she doesn't like any of them. Then Sonar is here again, kind of just to separate him and Sasha. It's kind of the opposite of how it was on the other team, where Sonar's here to separate him from Sasha because of lore reasons. And then Heather and Fiore are here because I really wanted to have all 3 of the Total Drama / Disventure Camp characters interact. Not that that's going to be all they do, but or even if that's the main thing they do, but that is going to be a thing that happens. So when it comes to electing a team leader, now I haven't actually thought about this yet. I think that Sloane immediately goes, okay, I'm probably not going to be voted because Sloane could easily get an Afton vote, but I don't think she's popular enough to get enough of other people's votes, especially when people like the Mimic are here. So I think Afton and Sloane probably vote for Sloane. So that's 2 Sloanes. Maybe they can convince somebody else. I don't think so, though. I think the Mimic and Magica vote Mimic. Daisy is able to convince, though, Sonar and some of the others, aka Heather and Fiore, that we need to not have those four. You need to not have those four. Any of them win, because if any of them get it, then it's pretty much over. Once, like, what'll happen is, like, if the Mimic gets it, Afton and Sloan are screwed, and then after that they'll probably have majority in some way, shape, or form, and they'll have way too much power. At this point, Daisy and Heather are still friends. Heather did do what she did to Harley, which kind of bugs Daisy like a lot. But I think that Heather and Daisy would still be friends, at least for now. Although things are a little bit cautious between them on Daisy's end. Sonar just understands that logic, and Fiore wants to hang with some different people in general. And just because her and Venom were starting to get on each other's nerves anyway. So this is a way to really establish herself in this team where nobody likes her. Nobody likes her that's on here from their old team. Because I like Sonar's agreeing to work with her, but that doesn't mean she likes her. And then Venom and Sin are on the other team. Actually, she's the only person outside of Sonar that's on her team. So yeah, I think that these four would have to settle on who to make it. And I think that Heather and Daisy and Fiore, the three of them, would come up with the plan to make Sonar the one. And Sonar's like, seriously? You'd really let me have that power? And they're all like, yeah. But the real reason is because all three of them have ulterior motives to use him, since he's a dumbass, so that he's the target, and they can easily manipulate him to do what they want. So, yeah. Sonar is voted in because he votes himself, and the other three vote Sonar, giving him 4 votes, while the Mimic and Afton both get 2. Excuse me. So, if I bring everyone over here, I don't think Sonar would have something as, like, formal as Sloane's staff. There's not going to be anything interesting like that. He'd probably have, like, Sonar's super buddies or some shit. Probably because, yeah, I like that. Sonar's super buddies, because it fits his character, and also it's really, really dumb, and a lot of the others would hate it, including Fiore, Heather, and to an extent Daisy. I can see like Fiore's eye twitching at the sound of that, but Sonar would kind of do it ironically, because there's a bunch of insanely screwed up people here, but also because he's one of the few people that is on Total Villain Multiverse that isn't a villain anymore. I'd say like Rouge, Sasha, Sonar, and Daisy, although she's still pretty morally ambiguous. But yeah, when it comes to Boney Island, I think Sonar will probably send himself because he's kind of feeling good, and he wants to use his bat form and show off his bat form more often, since he hasn't really been able to show it, since he hasn't been able to do anything up till this point. Meanwhile, Vader, on his team, I could see him probably trying to do something similar that he did last time, which is making good faith with some of the others on the team that he hasn't really met yet and don't really know him yet. So I think he would do that probably by giving it to Sasha. Well, no, not Sasha, because Sasha's sick, so he can't really give it to Sasha. She's going to be in the freaking infirmary for a while. So I guess maybe Toga? I guess Toga could work. Yeah, we'll do Toga. Well, I like Venom, actually. We'll do Venom. It really doesn't matter that much, but whatever. Venom's going up. It's Sonar and Venom. So I want y'all to comment below who y'all are rooting for. I want one person from Vader's Vengeance, so that can be anyone that's down there, or Venom. And I want one person from Sonar's Super Buddies, which can be Sonar or anyone down there. I want y'all to comment below or just comment 2 people, whatever, doesn't matter. But I want to see how people are feeling, because who knows, maybe it might affect some stuff in the future. This should be the last non-elimination episode until the first lore episode of this season. And even that's not going to be for a little bit. So, yeah. But that's pretty much all I have to say outside of like some post-credit stuff. So I'm going to go ahead and get to that since it's already 5:15. And I will catch y'all in the next one. See ya. Sin sat awake in her cell, mainly because robots don't need to sleep. But she's not allowed at nighttime, so she sat awake in her cell, just waiting for the morning to come. When all of a sudden, she heard footsteps coming towards her cell. She expected it to just be like Heather or somebody that is allowed to walk around coming to tease her, but instead, it was someone who, at first, she didn't recognize. The silhouette emerged, and while she still didn't recognize the person, she did recognize the faint red glow around his ear. This was Zombie Blake. Zombie Blake had made his way to the production tent, grabbed the key to Sin's cell, and come over here to unlock Sin's cell. Now, immediately, Sin's first instinct was to attack him, but the cross prevented her from doing so. And eventually she realizes that the red glow isn't just something familiar to her, but is actually belonging to Zombie Wanda. After noticing this, she asks what the hell is going on? What do you want? And Blake, it goes and he rips his finger off, and with the blood coming out, he writes it on the ground, and it says, "Follow me." And Sin's like, "Sure, I guess. I don't got anything else better to do." So they make their way over to the medic tent. And in the medic tent is a sleeping Sasha. Now, Blake then again he rips another finger off, and he pours out more blood, and it says, "Watch this." And Sin is like, "Okay." And he walks over to the sleeping Sasha, and he bites her on the neck. So, whenever he walks back over, Sin, who is now smiling, like has a huge grin on her face, watches as he rips a third finger off and says, "New alliance member unlocked," before the Blake drops and the red magic dissipates.